Hello and welcome. So I want to talk about my thoughts on frugal living and minimal living and just what I think the differences are and just some ideas I've been having. And this comes because someone left a comment on one of my videos and I really wanted to thank you because it has allowed me to think about something that I haven't thought about before and maybe wouldn't have thought about if it wasn't for your comment. So I kind of got into minimal living or minimalist living through trying to go zero waste and explore that lifestyle. And the reason why minimal living and minimalist living appealed to me is because it's got more of a lower impact on the environment, and it also has some philosophies that are maybe similar to living zero waste, which is sort of investing in quality over quantity and not consuming so much and just being very conscious in the way that we consume and what we consume. And I really like that of minimalism, and I started to sort of get more involved, and I realized that one of the side effects of living more minimally is also to save money, which is always nice. And then as I kind of explored it a little more, I sort of came to this realization of it really can change the way you think and your mindset, and it really has started changing my relationship to items and really seeing them for what they are, as tools and not as things to love and you couldn't live without, and really just changing my relationship as well to consuming. Like when I was living zero waste, I would still have this big need to want to go and consume and want to go buy things, but I would stop myself and I would limit myself and say no because I knew it wasn't the right thing to do. Whereas since I've kind of gone into minimalism more and explored it more and really worked with some of the ideas and thoughts that are come up because of going on this journey, I have actually slowly stopped that need. That need no longer exists for me to go out and buy things. Whereas when I was living zero waste, the need was still there, I just wouldn't do it. Whereas now the need isn't there and I don't do it because there isn't, I don't feel that in myself. And so I found that to be really quite powerful. And I've had a lot of different people who've talked about how it's helped them with anxiety and depression and things like that. There's something about living more minimally that can really help you on more levels than just the physical level of decluttering and what your space looks like and things like that. So that is kind of my picture of minimalism or living more minimally. And yeah, when I now think about living more frugally, this is of course going to be a slightly different picture. I have been very lucky in the sense that I've never had to live frugally because of necessity. I also haven't chosen to live this way, so my picture might not be complete. And please let me know, like, if you have lived this, if you have lived this way, please let me know in the comments, and yeah, talk about the benefits you've experienced, because I don't have a full picture, but I did do some research. And in my research, what I seem to find a lot is that it was all focused around money and budgeting and being very clear about where your money is going and maybe limiting yourself a little bit, which is maybe where like a bit of a negative connotation around living frugally comes from, is that it places limits on yourself. And yeah, what I noticed about frugal living is that the goal is to save money. That's why you live frugally. Whereas with minimalism, that isn't really the main goal. It's kind of a side effect, I guess, of living a more minimal life, but it isn't the main goal. So with frugal living, I feel like that was the main goal. And it's great, if you want to save money, go traveling, or to pay off a loan, or to, invest in a house, or to just work really hard to retire early, that is fine. That's what you want to do, and if that makes you happy, that is awesome. But if it doesn't make you happy, then maybe that's when it is not so good. It's the same with minimalism. Some people get into a minimal way of living and realize it's not for them, so it's not a problem. It just depends on what your goals are or what your goal is. So maybe that's kind of what I've noticed between the two different ways. So there are quite a lot of differences. I think they have very different outcomes, I guess, but I haven't tried to, I kind of have tried to live frugally. I've been doing it a little bit at the moment because I've been doing a no spend challenge year, but the reason I wanted to do that is, sure, it is to save a bit, but I'm only getting $174 a month, so at the end of the day I'm not going to be saving loads of money. But I was just interested to see my relationship to what I spend and how I spend my money, and if I can really be more conscious and aware of the way I work with money, and find different ways of doing things. Like, you know, this is an interesting example, or not an interesting example, but this is an example for an example is that, like, say your friend says, I want to go out to dinner, let's go out to dinner tonight, and maybe as a minimalist you would be like, yeah, sure, great idea, because you are wanting to you know, you're wanting to have an experience. And like, minimalism isn't about limiting experiences or anything like that. It's about really watching the way we consume material items, and then there's other aspects to it as well, but it is definitely not about limiting experience. It's about maximizing experience, I feel. So if you're a minimalist, you'd be like, yeah, of course. But if you were living frugally, you might be like, oh no thank you, I don't, because you're trying to save that money, and maybe you wouldn't see it as worth it. And so you limit both what you consume, but also, like, in terms of experiences, you might limit that as well. And then for me, where I'm at, and maybe someone who's living frugally would do this as well, I'm not sure. I'm sure they would, actually. It just makes it's a sensible thing to do. But like, where I'm at with my challenges, if someone said that, I'd be like, oh, you know, that's such a nice idea, I'd love to spend time with you, how about we go for a nice walk and then, you know, get a drink, or see if we can find some live music or something like that. Like, I would change it so I maybe wasn't spending as much money, but like maybe still spending a little bit of money. So I don't know, that's sort of my thoughts that I have been having, and I would really love it if you could share your thoughts and ideas, and, you know, if you've had any experience of the two different things. I mean, I know I've seen a few things where people talk about people who are living minimalist or a minimal way of living, they, like, you know, they don't spend money and stuff like that. But that's, you know, I definitely don't see that as true, because when you're living minimally, you're definitely not trying to minimize an experience. And, you know, a lot of experiences do cost money. I mean, you can do a lot of things for free, but, you know, definitely if you want to travel or something like that, it does cost money. So I feel like maybe for some minimalists that might be the case. They don't spend hardly any money. You definitely spend less money, but it's not really about the money, I think, if you're going to live minimally, whereas frugally, it's definitely, the goal is money orientated. Okay, I think I have rambled on a lot, and I hope I haven't made a big mess of what I was trying to talk about, and it has made some coherence and makes some sense to you. But yeah, please share your thoughts and ideas, and yeah, let's have a little discussion in the comments. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!